Thank you and welcome back to the second segment of the show for today. We're talking to Pastor KWalker, ministers Waller and Brown, in reference to their abilities to overcome negative attitudes and conditions. And let us start with you, Minister Waller, and give our audience some information in reference to your book and how you came to write that book and some of the experiences dealing with the book. And of course, Ms. Brown will do the same, and then we'll have Pastor Walker to sort of summarize that aspect of it, and then we'll be through with this second segment.
All right. What happened with me with this book, when it came out, it was as a result of me overcoming the lifestyle that so many people are caught up into, and that is the street life. The street life is a trap that I didn't fall in, I didn't walk in, I ran into it because it was so attractive. And it's amazing of the things that a person can see and could desire it, such as I did as a little boy playing out in the yard with my basketball, just as innocent as I could be. And I saw guys standing on the corner, and they looked like they was enjoying themselves. They were styling, they were profiling, they was laughing, they was celebrating what they were doing. But they had no clue that there was a young boy watching them that happened to be me. And no matter what I was doing in the yard, I continued to watch them, and I was playing with my ball. I continued to watch them, and I got better with my basketball. And I became so good with the basketball that I thought maybe that's what I would pursue. Little did I know the power that I saw with what they were doing was more stronger than the basketball I had in my hand. And so the game fell in my hand, and I would say that because it's a trap. And I ended up taking over the community during my era, and people started to follow me, and they all ran into the ditch as I did. But God brought me out, turned my life around, and from being addicted for 20 plus years of my life, and now I've been delivered for 22 years. Mm-hmm. And it's good to tell somebody that you can come out. So this book was placed in motion. God ordained the book. And I just want to say to the people out here that's in the world that there's hope. Yes. And I wrote this book, and it says my heartfelt dedication to the people that I understand. I understand the people that are in a trap. I know what it means to be locked up in your own community. And this is without being behind bars. I was locked up in my own community, entrapped. And thank God that one day came that I got out of it, and it was only through the grace of God. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say this, and I know it's not easy, but it can be done. Mm-hmm. I had got so out of control, and I still had the basketball in my hand, but now I'm a supplier of my community. Mm-hmm. And so as life moved on, make a long story short, I ended up on 16th and Joe Johnson. I come off of 40th in West Nashville. Ended up on 16th and Joe Johnson one night, and the Spirit of God spoke to me, which I didn't even know. And told me to go to church. And all I can think about was going to church just as I was. So I'd been up all night, and so when the morning sun came out, I just ended up going to the church. I put me a suit on, and I went on up into the church. But the thing about how I went, I brought my trouble with me, because I used to hear people say trouble wouldn't last always and things like that. So I brought drugs with me to the church and did drugs in the church and things like that, because the pain was so severe, I was willing to try anything except what I've already been doing. So that's just the take about this book, man. And I thank God that he inspired me to write this book so it can help a generation of young people, as Pastor Walker was saying. You know, he's a very good friend of mine. I'm very inspired by what he has done before me. And it calls me to just continue to push on, because he spoke about God a lot. And I knew then, I said, now here's a man that speaks about God no matter who's around. Right. And I was inspired by that, because when I was on drugs, I used to do drugs everywhere I went. I mean, that's just the way, it was a way of life. I did it every day. I was addicted. It had control of my life. That's why they call it a controlled substance, because it will control your life, or at least that's what it did for me.
Okay, Ms. Brown.
Yes.
Minister Brown.
Thank you, Dr. Haney. I too, my book, I wrote my book for therapeutic reasons. and to let other people know that no matter how far down the wrong road you go, God's arms are long enough to reach you. And me, I was molested as a child by a family member. Then I married at a young age, 16 years old, and married to try to get out of the house, and happened to marry a pedophile, and he impregnates my 13-year-old babysitter, and the baby born on my birthday, and so I was too young to deal with any of that. So I was emotionally scarred, and turned to crack myself, and I smoked crack for almost 15 years and went down the wrong road. But it's amazing that no matter how far down the wrong road you go, God will still have his hand on you. I knew at a young age that I was supposed to be one of God's preachers. But I couldn't figure out, when I would get high at the crack house, I would sing His Eyes on the Sparrow, or I'm Still Holding On, and would scare people, because I like to read the Bible when I was high, that sort of thing. But I didn't know that God was just instilling some things in me to take with me once he delivered me. So even in writing the book, you know, I got cut off from my family. A lot of my family members didn't like the book for whatever various reasons. But the thing about it is, God taught me a long time ago that we all go to some kind of prison. The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And he do that by setting up all kinds of prisons for you. Emotional prisons, financial prison, relational prison. You know, get in unhealthy relationships. And of course, a financial prison, living from paycheck to paycheck or no paycheck at all. But what God taught me was, no matter what type of prison the enemy set up for you, the key to any prison is your praise. So my book is set out to show somebody else that you can be molested. You can be married to the pedophile. You can have a crack addiction, whatever. But when you turn it over to God and let him transform your life, he can make a mess into a masterpiece, because he did it for me. I am now 19 years clean off crack. I'm the owner of Authentic Tax Service for the last 9 years. And as well as I've been the paralegal for the same district attorney that sent me to prison on and off for the last 12 or 13 years. So, you know, God can turn a thing around.
And you've got a story.
Right.
And I certainly appreciate the three of you with that. And so what we're going to do, we're going to take this second commercial break, and then we'll come back and we'll have Pastor Walker to make some statements, and we'll go back and use this last 10 minutes to talk about things that you think that might help our audience to overcome whatever problems that they might have.